Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Students, today inshallah we will move on to the next chapter, that is chapter number 3, organization of data. Okay. See, in our previous chapter we have learnt about data collection and also we studied about the differences between sampling and census. Okay. So in this chapter you will know how the data which you have collected are classified. Okay, how the data collected are classified. See, the purpose of classifying raw data is to bring order in them so that they can be subjected to further statistical analysis easily. Okay, you might have see, for example, you might have seen the scrap dealer in your locality. You sell old newspaper, then broken household items, then empty glasses, empty glass bottles, plastics, etc. to him, isn't it? So he purchases these things from you and sells them to those who recycle them. But with so much junk in his shop, it would be very difficult for him to manage his trade, isn't it? So if he had not organized them properly, it would be very difficult for him. Okay, so to ease his situation, he classifies. Okay, he classifies various junks, like he puts all old newspaper together and ties them with a rope, and then collects all the empty glass bottles in a sack. Then he keeps all these articles of metals in one corner of his shop and sorts them into group like iron, copper, aluminium, brass, etc. Okay, so in this way he groups his junks into different classes like newspapers, plastic, glass, metals, etc. Okay, and brings order in them. Once his junks is arranged and classified, it becomes very easy for him to find a particular item that a buyer may demand for. See, same like you arrange your school books in a certain order. See, it becomes easier for you to handle them, isn't it, when you arrange it in a certain order. See, you may classify them according to the subject, where each subject becomes a group or a class. So when you need a particular book on history, for instance, all you need is to all you have to do is you have to search the book in the group of history if you want an history book, correct? Otherwise you'd have to search through your entire collection to find a particular book you are looking for, correct? So while classification of objects or things saves your valuable time and efforts, so it is not done in an arbitrary manner. Okay, so classification therefore is nothing but arranging or organizing things into groups or classes based on some criteria. Okay, what is classification? Classification is arranging or organizing things into groups or classes based on some criteria. Okay, now we will see what is raw data. See, like I've told you about the scrap dealer, the unclassified data or raw data are highly disorganized. Okay, so I've told you if the scrap dealer, if he does not classify his data, okay, sorry, not his data, his junks, then it becomes very difficult for him to search for the thing, whatever thing he wants, isn't it? So same like that, the unclassified data or raw data are highly disorganized. Okay, they are often very large and cumbersome to handle. So to draw meaningful conclusion from them is a very difficult task, or it's also a very tiring task, because they do not yield to statistical method easily. So therefore, proper organization and presentation of such data is needed before any statistical or any systematic statistical analysis is undertaken. Okay, so hence after collecting data, the next step is to organize and present them in a classified form. Okay, so once the data are collected, the next step is to organize and present them in a classified form. See, for example, suppose you want to know the performance of the student in the mathematics and you have collected data on marks in mathematics of 100 students of your school. Okay, so if you present them as a table, they may appear something like this. See, it is there in your textbook. Okay, if you present them in a table, it appears something like this. Correct? It is there in the textbook, page number 24. Okay. Correct. So this is the marks in mathematics obtained by 100 students in an examination. Okay. So this is how you collect it. Okay. And or you could have collected data on the monthly expenditure on food of 50 households in your neighborhood to know their average expenditure on food. So the data collected in that case had you like can you present it in the table form? Yes, both tables which is given in your textbook here, that is 3.1 and 3.2, are raw or unclassified data. So these two are the data. Simply you have just entered it, isn't it? So these two data are raw and which is unclassified. So in both the tables you find that numbers are not arranged in any order. Can you see? It's not arranged in any order. So now if you ask for the highest mark in mathematics from table 3.1, then you have to first arrange the marks of 100 students either in ascending order or in descending order. Okay, so this is a tedious task. So it becomes more tedious if instead of 100 you have the marks of 1000 students to handle. Similarly, in the table 2, this table, the second table, can you all see here? You would note that it is difficult for you to ascertain the average monthly expenditure of a 50 household. Has this because it is because here the data is very large. Okay, say if you have to collect the data of 500 household. Okay. So it becomes very difficult if the data are not arranged according to the order, okay, and it is very cumbersome. So the raw data are summarized and made comprehensive by classification. See, when facts of similar characters are placed in the same class, it enables one to locate them easily. Then makes comparison and draw. It's very difficult to draw the conclusion about it without any difficulty. Correct. See, in our chapter 2, we have studied that Government of India conducts census of population every 10 years. About 20 crore persons were contacted in census 2001. So the raw data of census are so large and it's very large and it's almost impossible task to draw any meaningful conclusion from them. But when the same data is classified according to gender, then education, marital status, occupation, etc., the structure and nature of the population of India is then easily understood. So the raw data consists of observation. Okay, it consists of observation on variables. So the raw data has given in table 3.1 and 3.2, which is there in textbook page number 25, consists of observation on a specific or group of variables. Okay, so when you look at table 3.1, for instance, which contains marks in mathematics scored by 100 students. See, now how can you make sense of these marks? See, the mathematics teacher looking at these marks would be thinking, how have many students done, like how many have not passed, how we classify the data, depending upon the purpose we have in mind. So in this case, the teacher wishes to understand in some depth how the students have done. So she would probably choose to construct the frequency distribution. Okay, now what is frequency distribution? This will be discussed in your next class. Okay, I hope this much is clear. Okay, next we will see what is classification of data. So classification of data. See, the groups or classes of a classification is done in various way. Okay, how is it classified? Instead of classifying your books according to the subject such as history, geography, mathematics, science, etc., you would have classified them according to author, or classified them author-wise in an alphabetic order, or you could have classified them according to the year of publication. The way you want to classify them would depend on your requirement. Correct? Otherwise, the raw data is classified in various ways depending on the purpose. They can be grouped according to time, such as classification is known. So I've told you the raw data can be classified according to it can be grouped according to time. Okay, so such a classification is known as chronological classification. Okay, chronological classification. So in chronological classification, datas are classified either in ascending or in descending order with reference to the time, such as year, quarters, month, week, etc. Okay, see here, this table shows you the population of India classified in terms of year. Okay, that is there in page number 25. Okay, there is a table which is showing you the example of population of India, which is classified in terms of year. Okay, the variable population is a time series, as it depicts a series of value for different years. See, the population of India in the year 1951 is 35.7 crores. In 1961 it is 43.8. In 1971 it is 54.6. Okay, so here such classification is called as chronological classification. Okay, here the data are entered in ascending order. Okay, based on time series. Okay, I hope this much is clear. Okay, and you also have something called as spatial classification. Okay, in spatial classification, the data are classified with reference to geographical locations such as countries, states, cities, districts, etc. Okay, so this is also there in your textbook. See here it shows you the yield of wheat of different countries. Okay, Canada 3,594 kgs hectares. Okay, yield of wheat. And China 5,055, France 7,254, Germany 7,998, India 3,154, and Pakistan 2,787. Okay, so such data which are classified with reference to geographical location, okay, such as countries, states, cities, districts, etc., are called as spatial classification. Okay, it is called as spatial classification. Okay, and sometimes you come across characteristics that cannot be expressed quantitatively. Okay, such characteristics are called qualities or attributes. Okay, so what did I say? You come across characteristics that cannot be expressed quantitatively. Okay, so such characteristics are called as qualities or attributes. See, for example, nationality, literacy, religion, gender, then marital status, etc. cannot be measured, yet these attributes can be classified on the basis of either the presence or the absence of a quality characteristics. Such a classification of data on attributes is called as qualitative classification. Okay, it is called as qualitative classification. Okay, see in this example, okay, which is given in the textbook, we find population of a country is grouped on the basis of the qualitative variables. Okay, that is gender. Okay, so when you see here, an observation could either be a male or a female. These two characteristics could be further classified on the basis of marital status as shown here. Correct. Okay, so here the first or the classification at the first stage is based on the presence or absence of an attributes, that is male or not male, okay, that is female. At the second stage, each class, that is male and female, is further subdivided on the basis of presence or absence of another attribute, that is whether married or unmarried. Okay, then characteristics like height, weight, then age, income, marks of students, etc. are quantitative in nature, isn't it? Because it can be measured in terms of quantity. Okay, so when the collection of data of such characteristics are grouped into classes, it becomes quantitative classification. So what is quantitative classification? Characteristics like height, weight, age, income, marks of student, etc. okay, are of quantitative in nature. Okay, so when the data of such characteristics are grouped into classes, it becomes quantitative classification. Okay, I hope this much is clear. Inshallah, in our next class, we will see variables, continuous and discrete. Okay, we will see what is continuous variable and what is discrete variables. I hope this is clear, students. Doubt, contact me. Jazakallahu khairan.